Hey guys, welcome back to Melissa's Cricket Creations. Tonight we have an episode of Crimes and Crafts. Before we get started, though, as always, go ahead and like this video. It helps YouTube send it out to everybody. If we could get this video to at least, I don't know, 50 likes, something slight, something little. If y'all could go ahead and stop right now and like this video. All right. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting on? We do all types of shows. We do have crafts. We do have crimes. And we also have just different combos, okay? So if you have not joined the Cricket Gang, go ahead and do so now, all right? So I know you saw the title, so you know what we're going to be talking about. I want you to go ahead and comment what craft you're going to be working on tonight. I'm going to go over the water bottle label. I'm gonna go ahead. If you have pen and paper, the measurements are 8x2, and what I do is I do my chip bag first, and then I'll just resize it to 8x2 and make it a water bottle label. So if you've ever done that, comment in the comments and let me know if you're done that. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and we're gonna go ahead and discuss what you saw as the title. A police officer, unfortunately. Um, let's start it off. So, on December 7th, um, Adrena's Warford, I think I might have said her name wrong. She was not answering phone calls. She didn't show up to work. Um, Her parents started to feel worried. And they were trying to figure out what was going on because it wasn't like her not to pick up her kids. Okay. And so her father had the children, and he received a text message about 9 at night that said, I'll be there in a little bit. But she never showed up. So they started to wonder, like, what was going on, what was happening. So they did a wellness check. So the next day, which is what is it? I wrote it all down. So like on December 9th, the police were called out because her father went to her apartment, and he saw that her car was out there, but she wasn't coming to the door. So he didn't understand what was going on. Like I said, she didn't go to work, but she was a social worker, so that was so unlike her. She was a mother of two, and she had a small child that her father was babysitting for her, and she never came and picked him up. And that just wasn't, that wasn't like her. So so he went over to her house, got there, knocked at the door, saw her car was outside, but she wasn't answering the door. So, you know what he did? He called the police to come and do a wellness check. And when they came and they did the wellness check, unfortunately, she was found, deceased on the floor with a gunshot wound to the chin. So, everybody's wondering at this time, like, who would have done this to her? Who would have, uh, who would have wanted to, you can't say the word on YouTube, the K word. Who would have wanted to, get her, because, she didn't really have too many enemies. She didn't have any that I could think of. So, of course, the first person they think of is her boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend at the time, whose name was Pierre Tyler. Okay. His name was Pierre Tyler, and he was a police officer. So they call him in as a witness to question him, and he admitted that he had been to our house that day and that he had left his gun there, even though they couldn't find his gun that they say he left. But, he said he was not there that night because after he left our house, he went to go meet with a confidential informant in his personal car. And so, they was like, okay, he's not a witness. So who would have wanted to shoot, I guess, Miss Warford? Well, they talked to the neighbors, and the neighbors said that the day of the eighth, I'm sorry, the day of the eighth, they heard her arguing, two people arguing back and forth, right? And then they heard like a muffled shot, and then all of a sudden, all the arguing was over with. Well, she lived in a pretty nice neighborhood, right? So they pulled the tapes, and what they saw when they pulled the tapes was that her ex or her current, I don't know if they were together or not, that he had came to her house around, what did I write down? He had came to her house around 7. He entered her house around 7, and he left, according to the tape, around 9:02, which gave him enough time to do everything, right? And so when they started to dig more and more and more, let's see a picture of them. When they started to dig more and more and more, what they found out is that her ex-boyfriend, the cop, had a whole nother life going on. So what happened is on December 5th, Miss Warford found out that her so-called boyfriend, who her last child was by, had another baby, okay? Had another child, and he had a custody battle. He had a child support case pending. So she confronted him about it. And so I guess, as they do, he denied it or whatever. And she had found out also, mistakenly though, she thought he had married the mother of this child. And they were still together. So, she planned on leaving him. So I guess he came over that day. They got into it. Things went too far. And he shot her. And then he left. And when he left, on the tape, they could see him with a keychain that he always wore, and they saw the gun. I'm sharing my screen real quick so y'all can see a picture. All right, you see this? She was so pretty.
No people wouldn't even lie to you.
All right, look at her. So this is Miss Warford. And she was dating this guy up here. Now, he was a police officer. Again, as I talk about on here, I don't know if you've seen any of my previous shows or whatever, we're constantly told, from one of the first videos I did about a woman that was killed by her ex or whatever, or boyfriend, somebody she was dating, we're constantly told we should choose better. But on paper, I mean, he seems like a pretty cool, a good guy. Like, how would you know? But she was dating him. He had a child support pending case that she didn't know about. She thought he was about to marry the woman, so she confronted him. And I guess she decided, according to her family, she had decided that she was no longer going to be with him and that she was going to leave him. And I guess he didn't like the idea that she was going to leave him, because even though he's out here having kids with other people, he has a whole nother child, because their kids together is only 9 months. So he has a whole nother child that she wasn't aware of. He wasn't okay with the fact that she made a decision for herself, that this is not what she wanted, because she was focused. She was a social worker, and she was really focused on raising her kids. He wasn't okay with that. He wanted her to be in his life, even though he wasn't prepared to give her what she needed in order for her to stay in life, which is honesty, which is loyalty. He wanted to have it all. And so he took it into his own hands so that she wouldn't be able to leave him. Okay. And so his selfishness now left, if that other child is his, he's left that child without a father. The child he has with her, he's left that child without a father and a mother. And then she had a previous child who now doesn't have a mother. So, I came on here live today because I wanted to talk about the signs and things that we can do to try to keep ourselves out of these type of situations. I almost believe, like, at this point, because I've been looking at it's a lot of these situations, right? It's a lot of these situations where these men are starting to, for some reason, and I don't know if it's starting to, or if it's now because, we have the internet, that we're able to see this more often. But we're starting to see these men getting so violent towards women. So I was thinking, like, what are some of the signs that we can look for, and that, so that these things won't happen as often as they are. The thing is about him, like I said, he seemed on paper to seem like a good person. He didn't have a criminal record. Now, there is note of that he had done domestic violence. She filed charges of him before. It just says domestic violence. It doesn't say what happened, but, we can use our imagination. But it seems as if once you try to leave these guys, that's when they snap, because in their mind, they own you. And you don't have a right to think for yourself. You don't have the right to go do better. And in their mind, they think they can do these things, get away with it, and move on with their lives. And you're not able to move on. So we have to figure out, how can we be smarter about these situations? What can we do differently that we don't have to be in these situations, right? Because these men have been telling us that if only that we chose better. If only we dated guys that actually wanted to be in relationships. If only that we picked people that were not, the Pookies and the Ray Rays. I know you've heard these. I know you've heard these guys speak or whatever. That we would have a better outcome. But what happens when we do choose better? When we do choose a guy that's, that has a career, that was in the military for years, that ranked as high as a sergeant. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the military ranking, so I don't know if a sergeant is high. But he was honorably discharged. Then he found a career in being a police officer. But guess what? He still did the same thing that so many other are doing now, which is if I can't have you, no one else can. So to stay safe, guys, I just came up with, some steps to try to keep us safe. So step number 1, okay, believe people no matter, who they are, how much you think they love you, how much you feel like they're going to always have your back. Believe people when they tell you who they are. When you first get in a situation where a man feels comfortable enough to put their hands on you, or if a man feels comfortable enough to disrespect you, those are telltale signs that you don't need to be in their presence. Don't think, oh, he just lost his temper for a minute. Don't think that this is a normal behavior for him. He wouldn't usually do this. He would never hurt me, because they will, okay? Because a lot of times these people aren't in their right mind. They won't get the help. Instead, they live in this victimhood mentality, and it's everybody else's fault for the decisions they made. He created another child. She didn't want to be with him. Instead of him standing up and say, you know what, this is my fault. This is a situation I put myself in, so I should allow her to move on and live her best life. Instead of him doing that, he was selfish, and he decided to take matters into his own hands so that she wouldn't be able to move on with him, because he couldn't think in his mind, that she deserves to move on, because in his mind, he owns her. This is his property. So when a guy shows you who they are, or if they put their hands on you, if they disrespect you, if they're not, doing something in your best interest, you don't need to be in that situation anymore. And I know it's easier said than done, especially because they shared a child together, and she still had to be around him, probably because of the kid. But it's very important that you limit your interactions with this person. And let's not forget that you can do child drop off, right, at the police station. Oh Lord, he's a police officer, but at a police station, right? That you can set up where y'all can exchange kids at a police station to protect yourself, okay? Number 2, don't break up in person anymore. It's just gotten way too dangerous. Like I said, I know we think we know these people. We think these people never hurt us. We think these people love us. But they're not playing on the same deck of cards we are, okay? And, at the end of the day, unless you're ready also, if you know what I mean, if they come in there and they have their guns, they have their protection, you're the one that's going to become the victim, because you're not going to be prepared for what they have, so don't break up in person. Don't, and if they seem like a person that's starting to show up at your house and a lot, go ahead and move. Like, leases have to let you out of your lease if it's a domestic violence situation. And I know you're saying, oh, it's easier said than done, but this is really life or death nowadays. Like, I've seen so many of these videos of these men taking it into their own hands and, shooting and killing these women because they don't want the women to move on. So it's like, as soon as you see who they are, you have to move on it. Don't do it in person. Don't meet up with them. Set your boundaries. If you have to move and they don't know where you live at, you need to do so. If you share a child with them, unfortunately, you're going to have to meet them at the police station and make sure they don't know where you stay. You have to, it's not about being scared and, running. It's more so about keeping yourself safe, because we keep seeing these situations happen over and over again. And, these women have the best of intentions, right? They think they're in love and that this is somebody that would never hurt them, and that, they might fall out for a little while, but they'll always be family, right? Especially them, because they share a kid. So they'll always be family. And that's not how these men are looking at it. So you have to protect yourself, okay? Make sure you protect yourself in these type of situations. So number 1, if you do have a kid, you're going to have to use the police station to switch off kids, or maybe use family members to help you if you can, if that's a viable option. Maybe y'all don't have direct contact with each other and you're going to use your family members to help you. Number two, take people serious for who they say they are. The moment they put their hands on you or they start to get disrespectful, you can see it in their behavior as they change. When you start to see them lose respect and they start to talk to you in any kind of way, take those signs seriously, okay? Take those signs seriously and protect yourself. Do not break up in person. It just ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. And I want to say, it's time that we start taking self-defense classes. We need to learn how, we need to be gun owners. We need to learn how to, do self-defense to defend ourselves. Because, at the end of the day, they come over there, oh, hi am I, because they know they are armed. Okay. So you might need to do it, yourself. You might need to be armed yourself to protect yourself. Okay. Not to be out here, doing this and that, but to protect yourself in these type of situations. So, just to go over, everything that happened, this was a beautiful young lady. She was a mother of two. She was a social worker. She was active in her community. And, she got in a situation where she thought the person that she loved her back. And instead, the person that she loved was selfish, okay? He was so selfish that he didn't even let her know that he had another child, on the way, or the child was already here. He was so selfish that he wouldn't allow her to walk away and just create a new life. And let's just co-parent. Let's just co-parent and, you go find somebody that's better for you. Instead, he's selfish enough that he took her life and he took her away from her daughters and her family and her dad. Now there's going to always be a missing hole in their life, So at the end of the day, we have to be careful the people we bring in our lives. I don't want to say choose better, because a lot of these people switch up on you. They're not the same person they were when you first met them. And, once you fall in love and they know they got you, they start to show their true colors. So I can't even tell you to choose better. But what I will tell you is, no matter what situation, as soon as a person shows you who they are, believe them. Make sure you're dating people that it benefits you to, that, it's a genuine love. And let's take our time and get to know these people. I know they were together for years. They said 2 years they were together. She had the baby 9 months. But, and I'm not one to judge, because I got, one day I'll do a story time about my baby. But what I'm saying is, we got to slow down. We're in this sneaky link culture, this hookup culture. What happens is we end up putting ourselves in situations in which we have to be connected to people that we don't want to be connected to and that we don't need to be, because you met them on Monday, y'all was sleeping together the next week, or even a month later, 2 months later, and then we get careless, and then a baby comes, And I guess my point is not to monitor what you do in your bedroom, but it's just, let's not connect ourselves to people that we don't want to be connected to. And let's not act like sometimes when we bring sex in the situation that it clouds our judgment and we start letting things slide that we wouldn't let slide before, because now we've made this soul tie with this person, and now we're, we don't see everything the same way we used to. So I think the way that we started to filter out these guys, because they will change up on you, right? Like I said, it's not about choosing better. I think that we're gonna have to, I'm not trying to monitor your bedroom, but once I mess with these dudes, we're gonna have to push back, because I promise you, if you're not sleeping with them, you're just truly dating them and you're just trying to find out, you'll see these warning signs. It's just that when you start sleeping with folks and your mind start getting clouded and you start letting stuff slide and you like them, and then the next thing you know, y'all getting reckless and you got a baby, and now you tied to this person, and you're gonna let things slide, and you're gonna try to give people second chances and stuff, because now you got something to lose. But I guess I'm saying, if we don't put ourselves in those situations and we don't allow that stuff to happen, because we give them time to show us who they are before we just jump into these sexual relationships, we'll see some of these red flags and we can let them go. Because them people you meet when you first meet up front aren't always the same people that you meet on down the line, okay? When they start to show who they really are, when their true colors start to show, we need time to see it. But if we're too head over heels and too in love up front, we might not get there. So, like I said, there's so many of these cases where these men are taking these women out, And I know for sure everybody ain't just choosing bad. I know that we got a bad batch out there. And I know for sure that sometimes our judgments are clouded. So, let's just say, what do y'all think of that? What do y'all think? Do y'all think that maybe that we need to slow down with each other? Maybe we need to slow down, and that maybe, we need to take our time in these relationships, and we need to really get to know these folks, and that maybe a couple of months is not enough. Maybe we really need to put in the work and get to know these people so that we can see the other side of them, so we can see what makes them mad, and we can see how they interact with other people, and we can watch their tempers. And if we're not physically involved with them, maybe it won't be so hard to let them go. Okay? So, yeah, that's what I think. I want to know what you think. How do you feel about it? And what do you think is causing this uptick of these men to snap? And what do you think we can do about it? Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, guys. Until next time, stay crafty.